grade students. As I said yesterday, I'm out today, but I have recorded a video lesson in case you like following along with me better than just reading it on your own. Feel free to pause whenever you need to take notes or to go back or whatever you need to do. So, here we go. Your bell ringer for the day is, what do you think might be some of the changes that happened because of the Great Depression? So you should answer that either in the discussion post that is on Schoology, in the Ignite section, or write it down on that piece of paper that you received. Okay, so quick review. Before the Great Depression, Americans were just relying on charities, churches, families, and friends to get them through difficult times. They didn't have the government to rely on yet. After the Great Depression and after the New Deal starts, then Americans can start relying on the government. The New Deal kickstarts that. It makes all of those government programs like the FDIC and the CCC and all of those that we talked about before. And it also makes some other things as well, like unemployment insurance, things like that. Okay, so if you remember, we were talking about the 3 R's of the New Deal the other day. First one's relief. So, very short summary, it's help for the hungry and the unemployed. Then we have recovery, help for businesses and farmers, and reform, changing the way banks and the stock market work. So, relief, you are helping people. Recovery, you are helping the economy. And then reform, you are taking care of the money issues, the stock market issues, things like that. Okay, so starting our actual lesson now, we need to talk about what an effect is first. So, an effect is a change that happens when something is done or when something occurs. So, let's say I am not feeling good. Like John is not feeling good in this example. Let's say I am not feeling good. My cause is me not feeling good. And the effect, or what happens because I am not feeling good, is that I go to the hospital. The effect is going to the hospital. Or let's say I study for my test. That's the cause. I ace my test. I get 100%. That's the effect. So the effect is a change that happens because something else happens. New Deal changes or New Deal effects were a very big thing. The New Deal can change the role of the government in the United States. For really the first time in history, the United States government was more involved in people's lives and in making sure people got the things that they needed when they were having a difficult time in life, when they were having hardships. So, again, like the FDIC was making sure that the money was safe in the banks, that people weren't going to be struggling if the bank went bankrupt. Or the PWA was helping give people jobs, or the CCC was helping give people jobs as well. So all of those kinds of things, that was the government's way of helping people through their struggles. And again, this is really the first time that we see this in American history. We can see it somewhat throughout the years, but never in the amount that we see it now. The Great Depression really, though, has a lot of negative effects, which we're about to go over. So, one of the biggest things that the Great Depression caused was a very large unemployment rate. So, during the Great Depression, which was 1929 to 1939, the highest the unemployment rate gets is 25%, and that's in 1933, as you can see in the chart down here. That is extremely high. That is 1 in 4 people in the United States. So if you can think, like, even just your family, if your family has 4 people, one of you would not have a job. That's a lot of people across the United States. If you think back during COVID, I'm sure you can remember, like, a lot of people were struggling back then. Maybe some of your family members lost their jobs or had to stop working for a while because of the pandemic. In the pandemic, the unemployment rate was only at a high of 15%. And it was a very large amount of people, or it felt like a very large amount of people that didn't have a job. So 25% is even worse. It's a very large number of people out of work. Another thing that was an effect of the Great Depression was the banks closing. So during the Great Depression, over 9,000 banks close, go out of business. They don't have any money. They go bankrupt. This becomes a very big problem because before the New Deal, people just lost their money. It was gone. There was no way to get it back after that bank foreclosed. When the New Deal created the FDIC, it changes things. 1,000 banks or roundabouts were saved, were helped out, either given money by the government or whatever it might be. But 1,000 banks were saved, which is really nice. And then they put into effect that idea of, well, up to $500,000 or whatever the amount is right now, we will pay you that money from the government if your bank happens to go through that, which is really helpful because it does happen. I mean, it just happened this past week that 2 banks closed. So it is something that people use all the time. Then we had a lot of business failures during the Great Depression. So around 300,000 U.S. companies went out of business during this time. And we're talking about literally any kind of business. Businesses that make things, businesses that sell food, businesses that help people with various things, or hairdressers, or whatever it might be. We're talking about all types of businesses. Over or around 300,000. And again, if you look back at COVID, it was around 100,000. Around there. It was a little over there, but it was around 100,000 businesses that shut down. And again, that felt like a lot of shutdown, right? It felt like everything was falling apart. All of these businesses were closing. So imagine 200,000 more businesses being shut. That's a crazy amount of business to not be working. All right, and then we have our lasting impact. This is stuff from the Great Depression that still impacts us today, that is still in effect to today's world. So one of the main things is, again, the government idea or the government role really, really changes. The government becomes more involved in the lives of its citizens. It becomes more involved in helping people through difficult times, sort of like regulating how people can protect themselves, things like that. It also introduces programs like that Social Security that we were talking about the other day that help people pay or get disability pay or retirement pay or whatever it might be. So we have programs that are helping people money-wise. And then we also have other programs that are helping people do things like buy houses, get jobs, get food. I'm sure we've all heard of like food stamps or welfare, anything like that. That was all part of it as well. So the government is stepping in a lot more and helping people, which is something that was not really a big deal back then or before the Great Depression. And then we have physical changes too. We learned in our video yesterday about the Hoover Dam. The Hoover Dam was built during the Great Depression. It didn't exist before that. And it has completely changed how Western life really exists. It made farming at a very large scale possible in California. It kickstarted Las Vegas and how big Las Vegas is now. It changed a lot of things, and it wasn't just that one project. A lot of other projects, Mount Rushmore, tons of other stuff. So there were physical changes as well, not just like monetary or helping out or things like that. There was actual physical change that still exists today because of a lot of what was going on during the Great Depression. Okay, so On the next two slides, when you look at them, they have the answers to your fill in the blank notes. So if you missed anything or if you're confused on what you should put down, the answers are here. So you can always pause and fill it out if you need to. If you have any questions, please let me know. Email me and I can get back to you as soon as I can. But remember, you should talk to a friend in the room and then the substitute before you talk to me, because I might not get back to you right away. And then if you are ready to move on, if you're done with your notes and you're done with your bell ringer, you're going to move on to that chew portion of the lesson or the assignment for today. The directions, I think, are clear enough. If you have any questions, please check in with the substitute or with a friend. Do not just sit and wait. I know it's hard because I'm not there, but do not just sit and wait, because there's no one there that's going to help you if you don't ask for it, because they won't know. So please ask for help. All right. Have a wonderful day. I will see you tomorrow. I hope you have a good day and everything goes well. And I will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.